Alright, hello everybody. This is Kunal coming back again with another RAG video. I was just using the computer today just to prelude my talk. I was using the computer today just a few minutes ago, and I was looking up the 10 commandments because I was doing my numerology on them and trying to figure out which one was which, in hopes I might maybe be able to be more specific with recommendations to other people or myself. So I thought I would look up the 10 commandments because recently I had a great discovery. And let me just go back to the basics. It all started back in 2019, I believe, or 2020, during the lockdown, when I heard Alan Watt, who I started listening to again in 2019 after 2 or 3 years of going on the wrong path. Then I started listening to him, and then I realized that he said something that was really something that I hadn't thought about, which was that the main usefulness for religion today is that it can, not only does the Bible, he says the New Testament has the truth in it, but also all the commandments and stuff that were put in there to make sure that we don't fight amongst each other, and that we get along with each other, so we have a common set of rules to follow so that order is maintained in society. And all the crazy behavior we see recently due to the collapse of civilization was not there. So based on that thought, I've been thinking about the 10 commandments a lot, and also the 10 amendments. And then the other night, I ran into something that I actually used to follow myself, because I never followed the 10 commandments because I was not a Christian, but I was a Hindu, so we had a similar thing in yoga called niyama and yama. And this is a core of Vedic philosophy. It's basically, niyama means external rules, or things like don't lie, don't steal, don't murder. And yama means internal rules, which means be clean, maintain cleanliness, maintain truthfulness, purity, maintain things like believe in God and pray, stuff like that. So internal and external rules, and there's 5 of them, just like the 10 commandments. So I thought maybe, then I correlated the niyamas and yamas of yoga with the 5, because the yamas and niyamas are 5 in number, and they're both kind of like, you can number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can match them with another one, which is a yama and a niyama. They're both on the same level. For example, the number 1 rule, the greatest commandment in Christianity, is to love God with your everything. And in yoga, there is a concept called brahmacharya, which means following the path of God, or trying to find God. And that's the same thing. And it also means to know thyself in the internal laws, swadhyaya, which means to study yourself. So those are both the same thing because they're on the same kind of level. So similarly, so I found that Islam and Hinduism has the same kind of correlation, where certain of the commandments are similar to the certain commandments. And then I looked at Christianity, and it was harder to make the similarity than with Islam, but I eventually found out what the similarity is. And I'm just going to do a similar video to yesterday, reviewing the anima and the animus, which is what represents the female and the male, and what they strive after through their spirit and their soul. And basically these 10 commandments are there for all of them to do, and then they can attain perfection. And maybe not have to suffer in life or attain something greater in the next life. So let's start with the most number. So what was the animus is what the females tend to have more of in their actions, and therefore the lowest level of animus development is like a baby, someone who's not even a toddler yet, and that person is considered a Tarzan, person who is concerned merely with physical power and like a baby. Yeah, love you, baby. So physical power and strength and so forth. So that's why he's called a man of strength, Tarzan. And that represented by the number 1, but it's not a man, it's actually a female, because females have the animus. So we're talking about the 4 levels of animus. So the number 1 would be represented by the 10 commandment rule number 7, which means do not commit adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So that's the number 1 law that every human should learn right when they're a child. Unfortunately, we promote a promiscuous society where the first partner a child has is not the one they're married to, but somebody in their class or stuff like that, or in the family and so forth. So it's a bad practice. So we see right at the first law is the one we see the most corruption in, and is blatantly being violated everywhere, because this is the most basic law to get to the second step and the third step. And everyone wants to keep you away from religion so you don't have your own power of the soul and spirit, or you never find the spirit. So the first rule is thou shalt not commit adultery. Now when you look at that in yoga, it's actually no. Let's now look at it in the this is the Old Testament. Now let's look at the New Testament, which is compared to the niyamas of the external. Now we're going to the internal, which is the New Testament. So number 1 internally is thou shalt have no other gods before me. So that's the first commandment. The first commandment, the same as the 7th commandment, because the 7th commandment is the external version, and the first commandment is the internal version, is that thou shalt have no gods before me. So that's the first and most basic law, which is what Jesus said too in the New Testament, is love God. That's the greatest commandment. And the next greatest commandment Jesus said was to wow. I was going with Carl Jung's theory of the most basic, the youngest stage of human development, and it happens to be the greatest law. How funny is that? Alright, so let's not go to Jesus' second law. Let's do what I was originally doing. Actually, Jesus' second law is treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself, but that encompasses a lot of different commandments, I think, even though I think it has to do more so with not stealing, and not so that's called not stealing or being responsible, and also to sacrifice for others in the yoga version. So number 1 in yoga stands for brahmacharya, and also swadhyaya, or self-study. I already said that. And I believe the next one is number 3, which is which happens to do also correlate with the Carl Jung theory of the second stage of human development, which happens to be the not Eve, not Tarzan, but Byron. Byron is the man of action or man of romance, the one who does a lot of world stuff out in the world. So the movers and shakers, like they say, shot callers and so forth. So Byron, yeah, the man of action, man of romance, happens to do with a average young female, actually, because that's like the second stage of life for a woman, and we're talking about animus development. So based on that theory, But Byron also happens to be correlated with the number 3, I believe. And then that's in the external world, it would be not to steal, because Byron, being the man of action, doing a lot of stuff, he's tempted to cut a little corner here and there, pocket some of the change, and get rich off of that, because that's his drive, that's his motivation. So for him, the law, commandment number 8, is thou shalt not steal. And similarly, in the internal sense, it's number 3, which is do not take the Lord's name in vain, and do not swear falsely by your Lord your God. So that means when you learn something of the truth through the Bible or wherever, you should not deny that. And you should definitely not let anybody else deny that either. And you should not let the Lord's name be taken in vain, which means not to let the deception and the false teachers speak their thing freely. So yeah, do not swear falsely by their God. It doesn't mean just in court, it means in everyday life. So always keep the truth paramount, and do not steal. And do not use the Lord's name, which means the Holy Spirit, what you learn from the Holy Spirit, for evil purposes. That also is what I think it really means. Do not swear falsely by your Lord your God. So you cannot say that, God told me one night that because people think you know a lot, you cannot misuse that privilege and use God's name in vain and lie about something and so forth, and say something false. So it means you have to be more responsible with what you're learning, because the Hindu concept, just to get more clarity, in the same regard, number 3 is Satya. Satya means to speak the truth, which in the Old Testament, number 8 commandment means not to steal. So when you lie, you're actually stealing from somebody, because you're deceiving them to gain an advantage. So obviously you're stealing from them. So Satya is the next most important rule, I believe. Satya. And internally, oh, sorry, it's not Satya, it's Asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. Okay, so it means to be responsible. It means to, do your share, or not take from other people's share, or whatever. So to be responsible and not stealing and not to steal. And in the internal sense, it means tapas, which means sacrifice or discipline, and willingly taking on hardship for the common good, basically, is what I think it means. And that's what swearing falsely by your God doesn't mean. So when you're speaking something, even though you're like a government employee, you shouldn't be lying about what you know to be the truth, just because like what I was doing as a teacher, I was kind of not being as honest as I should have been, because I thought it would have gotten me fired. So I was like, I knew more than I could have let on. So I was using the Lord's and swearing falsely by our God in a sense. Or even as a Toastmaster, being a leader, I wasn't doing 100%. So that's kind of being not being fully responsible, or not being like, what do you call it, as not sacrificing or having discipline. So that's what asteya and tapas means, and that's the 8th and the 3rd commandments, I believe. Because the first 5 are kind of hard to understand for me. Anyway, I think for most people. So tapas means to sacrifice. So never take the Lord's name in vain, or swear falsely by God. That's what Jesus also said in the Old New Testament one time, when somebody was saying something about how much money they got from selling their cattle or whatever for the common good. They were selling all their stuff because they needed money for food or something. And the greedy wife of the husband, told her that, let's lie about the money and keep some of the money for ourselves. And so they lied about the money, and then Jesus said, or Peter said, you lied to the Holy Spirit, and that then they perished after that. They died. So that was a big crime because that was the second most important commandment after loving God. So yeah, I think now I'm clarified on this, even though the way it was written in the Old Testament is very confusing. Do not take Lord's name in vain. It means do not deny the Holy Spirit, I think, is what they're saying. The Holy Spirit tells you to sacrifice for others. It doesn't want you to be selfish or cheat others and stuff like that, and steal from others. It tells you when you're doing it that you shouldn't be doing this, because that's it can kill your Holy Spirit or your soul, you know. So anyway, that's the first two most important commandments. We already talked about those. Carl Jung talking about the animus, which is what the masculine aspect of the soul, which is what the females tend to pursue in the world, in their lives. So we went through Tarzan and Byron. Now the next one is called George Floyd. And George Floyd is not a man of romance, but he's a professor or an orator, a public speaker, or even a clergyman, like a churchman, clergy, a pastor. So George Floyd, represented by the number, I believe, 0, could also be like 4 or 5. Probably 5 because 5 and 0 are the same thing. Or it's more like 3, actually. Or 2, but anyway. Yeah, it's kind of like 5. But anyway, we already did 1 and 3. Now we're doing 0, which is the next one, which is also represented by 5 here, I believe. So, what is that? So after the man, the deviant, and then the next comes the woman, 0, and that's represented by the Old Testament external rule of thou shalt not kill, because women don't have a hard time killing people. They can just tell somebody I don't like him, or snitch on somebody, or many different things. So thou shalt not kill, I guess that's why it's written for, it represents number 0, I don't know. But thou shalt not kill. And in Hindu version, the same thing is called ahimsa. This is what Gandhi stood for, and that means non-violence or not harming either yourself or another person. So sometimes we tend to forget about protecting ourselves, but that is also part of ahimsa. And that means thou shalt not kill or commit murder. And in the internal sense, it stands for not commandment 6, but commandment 5, which is honor thy mother and father. Honor thy father and mother. Why should we honor thy father and mother? Because it says that's how you live a long life. If we honor our father and mother and respect them, then we can learn from them. And once we learn from them, we can actually better themselves instead of becoming failures in the way they were by hating them and being mad at them only, and not being positive, I guess, is the one way to say it. So honor thy father and mother, which is, in Hindu sense, it's internally, what's the opposite of ahimsa, or what's the parallel of ahimsa, is socha, which means cleanliness and purity. So I guess when you learn from how your mom and fathers are, then you know yourself better, and you're more in touch with yourself, so you have more clarity, and you behave more purely too. In fact, that's very true, because America, the great experiment, they found out very early that people who were separated from their parents when they were young, bastards basically, tended to behave in a very criminal manner and were antisocial and so forth. So they did not get along with others, and they were just a nuisance for the community. But of course, today it's very common because they want the society to destroy, so China can take over, just like these criminals want. So yeah, that's number 0. We did 130, which is George Floyd, purity, and non-violence, or not kill, and honor thy mother and father. See, your mother and father told you not to sleep around. At least your great-grandmother and father told you not to sleep around, right? You wouldn't have all these STDs if you lived in the way they live. But people wanted to, think that they were better than their parents and try to change society and change the world and all that shit, when they can't even control their own desires, wants, needs, and or even know what their wants are versus their needs, basic stuff like that. And they want to try to, be the king of the world and be the world policeman, like Team America, the movie. So hopefully that's given you the 4 stages of anima, the 3 stages of anima. Let me do the last one and finish off with what the woman should be doing, and then I'll do the next video for the men. Let's see. So that's number 3. So after George Floyd, this is very rare, but the last stage of animus development, they say, is Hermes. Hermes as in the philosopher, and that's because now this person is not just about talking the talk, but also walks the walk. So they have a little more wisdom and true wisdom compared to the other 4 levels. They're closer to wisdom than the other 4 levels, at least. They're more like philosophers, and they tend to understand that there is a right and a wrong, different from what everybody else believes. And that's represented by the number 2 for duality. And so animus development, right? Also 2031 also, wait, 1302 also represented by king, lover, magician, warrior. So 2 is a warrior, and wow. 2 is a warrior. That's represented by Hermes, and Hermes is a philosopher, I guess. Someone who distinguishes between right and wrong and morality and immorality, I suppose. Represented by number 2. And now let's look at the commandment. We have the commandment saying number 2 is thou shalt not bear false witness. So the niyama, or the external rule, is thou shalt not bear false witness. So these femi-terrorists, they love to bear false witness out there. And all these older dudes are acting like they don't know what's going on. Like they've never witnessed this kind of behavior, this females lying before. Trying to gaslight us. Little punk ass busters. Fucking queef huffing busters. But anyway, thou shalt not bear false witness. So that's represented by the Hindu rule, satya, or truthfulness, benevolent truthfulness. So you don't just say the truth to hurt people, but to actually help them, for which you have to know them and so forth. And internally, that's represented by the commandment 2, not commandment 9. Not make graven images. So don't make graven images, which means don't be VPPR for Toastmasters, because that's bad thing to put other things before God. So only God is the one we should put above us. No human is above another. Only God is above us, and God is unseen. You cannot see God. There's no Pharaoh out there coming from space to, lift us up. There is a Lord, maybe, but the Lord, the Father, God the Father is different. I think there's different terminologies in the Bible, and they're all different things, which people don't realize, I think. I didn't realize. Still forget. English is such a dangerous language. That's why it's all just spells and shit. Witches. So anyway, those were the 4 different stages of anima. Now let me do the 5th one too, because this one is for women. I told you that the warrior woman should not bear false witness. I also said that the lover should not steal. And I said similarly for the males. Now, that was the internal ones. Now there's one all females must do before, I think, they can get to the Holy Spirit, which is the next level, or anima, which is the internal rules. And there's one thing all males should do before they can get off the first level. So let's do the males first now. Number 4. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. So always, let's see what the Hindus say. Ishvara pranidhana means to sacrifice to something greater than yourself. So what Sabbath means is to volunteer. It means don't just work for money every day. Spend one day to work for something else, for society or something greater than yourself. Your kids, your husband, so forth. So that's what all males must do before they can get from the level of Eve to and higher. And for females to get to the level of Eve from Sophia, I think they must all also stop coveting. Thou must not covet the house, thy wife, neighbor's house, neighbor's wife, neighbor's servant, neighbor's cattle. So that's the highest rule for females in order to get to the male side, anima, or the female soul. And for males to get, to the female soul, they have to first sacrifice for others. And also do all the things that anima is supposed to do, of course, while they're children and growing up. Until about age of 16, 18, or 14, that's when your spirit is growing. Your animus is growing. First is from 0 to 3, I believe, then 3 to 6, and then 6 to 8, and 8 to 12, or either that or 0 to 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, and 13 through 16. Or maybe the rest of your life. So that was the 10 Commandments, and then I also did the 10 Hindu yogas. I might have forgotten a couple, but it's on my gab. Peace out.